This interview is in support of Witham Radio. Please consider donating to the cause. Link in description. Hello and welcome to the Cyberden right here on Witham Radio. At least this is, of course, fundraising for the fabulous Witham Radio. Please consider donating. Check out the link already in the description of this video when you check this out. But anyway, we have a new person to interview right here on the Cyberden. So, please welcome video game historian and docu-series creator. It's none other than Dan Ibbertson, a.k.a. DJ Slopes of Slopes Game Room. Thanks for coming, mate.
Thank you. What an intro. I love that. Yes, thank you for having me.
No problem. So, Dan, now please tell everyone, of course, bread and butter question I always like to ask, what is the kind of earliest and perhaps fondest memories you have playing video games?
Wow. It's always, I suppose, the big jumps between generations. So going from the home computer Amstrad era to discovering the Mega Drive, like 16-bit era, and then moving from that to the PlayStation, I think are my two biggest like wow moments of my life. I remember as a kid having an Amstrad. I remember seeing an NES like Super Mario Brothers, but I was so in love with my Amstrad that nothing could touch it. I would convince myself that, it's good, but it's not Amstrad good. Even though Mario was definitely better than any game on the Amstrad, right? But I convinced myself that the Amstrad was better. I went to a Halloween fair thing here in the UK. It was actually for Invicta Radio. I don't know if you remember Invicta Radio from the 90s. They had some Halloween bash. I think it was 1990 or 1991, one of the two. And we went on. You go on this Sega bus they had at this big convention. I didn't really know what Sega was, and I go on there and I got to see some new video games. There was Moonwalker on the bottom deck and like Chuck Rock and a couple of other games. But upstairs, the whole floor was nothing but just little stations set up where you get to play Sonic the Hedgehog, and it was the first time ever playing it, and I was like, wow. Okay, nothing on my Amstrad can beat this. I think that's probably my biggest wow moment. I completely jumped ship and went to Sega. And then it happened again when I saw Wipeout for the PlayStation. I was like, oh my god, 3D graphics, this is incredible. But yeah, there you go.
So apparently the DJ in your online username, DJ Slopes, that's not just a memorable kind of quirky nickname. You're an actual DJ, or at least have actual DJ experience. So how long have you done that for? And please tell us about your experiences.
Well, it's the only time I stopped gaming as a kid growing up, sort of a teenager. It was in the PlayStation 1 era. I lived at a pub in my teen years, and I was just fascinated with the DJs, and I've always been heavily into music, like majorly into music. And I just started really getting into DJing in a big way. Like at the beginning, in those early years of me being a teenager, it was very much just me DJing at the pub that we lived in, that was pretty awesome. But I did like weddings and all that sort of stuff. But as you grow into an adult, into the later teen years, I started doing the club circuit, and I even done some festivals as well. DJ'd at Download Festival, which is probably my biggest audience I've ever had. Several thousand people there, which is pretty awesome. They're definitely my that's my history primarily with DJing. I've not done it so much in the recent years because I'm a dad now. Don't really want to spend all my nights going out to clubs when I've got two kids. But I've started it up a little bit here and there. Definitely more as a hobby than anything else. Trying to fuse electronic music with video game music if I can, and try and bring the world of Slopes Game Room to my actual DJ sets. That's my current aim, and I do video DJing now as opposed to typical DJing because it just helps blend both Slopes Game Room and my DJing together.
During your DJ sets, have you ever played any of those kind of those old kind of vinyls and singles of gimmicky video game tracks, like, Super Mario Land, with a little bit of rap over it, or that kind of cheesy sort of a retro stuff. You ever played any of those, or have you been a bit more like, let's play the classics, let's play the recognizable, enjoyable stuff?
No. I mean, even when I was DJing in the clubs, it was definitely more commercial music, as in commercial club music and stuff, before I went into like the heavy metal route. But with that said, I would only play a few of those tracks and then start blending it into other things that are a little bit more risky. But if I think if a DJ knows what he's doing it well, you can get people to dance to pretty much anything. And yeah, I definitely put in some more video game bootlegs in there. I remember I had a really good sort of fidget house remix of the Mario theme that I would drop in sometimes. Definitely played some Jet Set Radio and Streets of Rage back in the day, but it's very much an in and out, and it's sort of blended with like acapellas of other tracks, like Pump Up the Jam with Go Straight from Streets of Rage 1 was always a good mix that I played back in the day. There was when the dubstep era was really, really big, Dr. P's Tetris would get some airtime. Yeah, and people love it because you're in and out, and everyone know that. If you get it at the right time, at the right time of night, and everyone's off their head drunk, and suddenly the Tetris theme comes on, it doesn't matter, how nerdy or not you are. Everyone loves just getting down to that sort of stuff. So yeah, I've definitely sneaked in a few video game tracks throughout the years for sure.
What would you say are some of your, just generally speaking, favourite artists?
Oh, wow. I mean, I've seen The Prodigy live multiple times. Obviously, a tear came to my eye the day I found out Keith died, and I haven't seen them since live. I've seen them well over 10 times, Prodigy. My all-time favourite musical artist is Michael Jackson. I saw him live in concert when I was like, I don't know, maybe 11, which I think is an awesome thing to say I was able to do. Adored his music, still do. Other artists, I jump between sort of like hip hop, sort of hip hop, heavy rock, and heavy electronic music. That's kind of my era. Sorry, my genres that I'm mostly into. But yeah, I mean, everyone in that space, yeah. Everyone in that space on the heavier side of things.
Now let's get talking about, of course, your online career on YouTube. Why is it that you decided to make a YouTube docuseries on video games? Do you have any particular inspirations for these? I mean, what it is was primarily like, growing up, I was always even when I went to my Mega Drive era, I always wanted to go back to my Amstrad era from time to time. I never just like threw the old consoles out or computers out. I kept wanting to go back to them. When I was in the Mega Drive era, I discovered the Master System games because I sort of missed them when they were, a big thing. In the PlayStation era, I would constantly go back and play Micro Machines on my Mega Drive and blah, blah, blah. So I was always into retro gaming. And the majority of my real world friends growing up were very much just into whatever the next system is that would have the latest, FIFA or Gran Turismo or Grand Theft Auto, whatever it may be. And, I'd always try and relay all these facts and whatever else about retro games, but for the most part, they weren't interested. It's fair enough. It's just not their thing, and it definitely was mine. So for me, it was just very much like I found an audience of people online that would be interested to talk about that sort of stuff, and that's all it really was, really. I've always found the history of gaming fascinating, and I'm very, very happy to say that it is now my job to talk about it, and it's awesome, yeah. So when did you realize that you were gaining major traction online and getting huge amounts of subscribers and view counts for your videos? When was the exact turning point, do you think?
It's hard. Honestly, the very first upload I ever put up, which isn't on the channel anymore, but it is, but I had to re-upload it a few years later because, I put like BBC clips in there from Alan Sugar and a meeting with Alan Sugar in there, which obviously you can't do, but it was my first ever upload. I didn't really know what I was doing. Got flagged, I deleted the video. But yeah, if you go and look for the Roland story, that was actually the first video I ever uploaded. I uploaded it again like a year or so later. And the very first time I ever uploaded it, there's a Retro Gamer forum for the Retro Gamer magazine. And I posted in there, hey, look, check out my new video. But like everyone was posting their videos that they'd done. And almost nobody got any kind of response. You might get one person reply, oh, that was good or whatever, or give some, not so constructive criticism. But I put mine up and I'd refresh, and there was no one was replying. No one was replying. Oh, it's just another post in this forum. But the next morning I woke up, there was a couple of pages of people saying that they really, really liked the video. And I was like, oh my God, I found my audience. This is awesome. I was able to relay with these people and talk about retro gaming. It was so good. And it just went on from there. It just snowballed from that very, very first upload. I realised, oh wow, if I try and put out a video once a month, that'd be really cool. And I can keep sort of a consistent flow of content. Okay, well now that's working. Let's move that to once a fortnight. Now let's move that to once a week. And then over the next 3 or 4 years of uploading content, I think every single week, bar about 2. It turned into a full-time thing. So it was just a constant rolling thing.
So could you describe to us the production of an average kick scammer video, the amount of research you're putting, the editing side, etc. And by all means, of course, go into as much detail as possible with this and anything else here. I'm sure many people listening really want to know the nitty-gritty detail, so go ahead, the floor is yours.
So, with kick scammers and complete histories are quite different to research and edit. It's quite hard to find a good, interesting story when it comes down to kick scammers, because the thing with kick scammers is it's you've got to find that cool story that has got some good twists and turns in there. Not just they took the money and ran. Because, I mean, I've done that story, and I've done that story a lot, and there's only so many times you can tell that story, and unfortunately it still happens. So many people, claim the money and run away with the money. But what I try and find is those stories that are just a little bit more interesting, that have a few more twists and turns in there. And when I start to get an idea, wow, okay, this is turning a little bit, a little bit scammy, there's something going on here, there's something not quite right, I start just making a Google Doc full of information that I can find. So I'll just relay everything. I'll be taking screenshots. I'll be I have like Chrome plugins, so I can record the entire screen, copy the entire screen, these huge PNG files and PDF files. So I'll just cover absolutely everything. And I always, the few times I don't do that are the few times when they've gone back and deleted something, or they've edited a message, and then I'm screwed. I have to say, I remember them saying that they did this, but then they changed it, and that's just never good to put in a video. So I just start backing up information as quick as I can. So I'm collecting all the information. I'll start looking through different news websites, so you can actually go to Google and you can search for whatever the topic is you're looking up, the Amico or whatever, and you can search by month, so you can go back and custom range it. So I want to find everything from the January of 2022, now let's do February of 2022, and I'll record all of the different news articles I can find, and I'll put all that in there, and I save them into folders, specifically in number folders. So it'd be like 1, everything that happened in January, 2, everything that happened in February, and I'll just go through, and eventually I have so much evidence and just anything I can do to be able to make a video. And then it's just a case of just sit there and just go through the whole lot and turn it into a video. And then, of course, when it comes down to the editing side of things, I'm really going off on one here. But on the editing side of things, I will collect, I'll have to go out there and I'll try and change things up constantly throughout the editing. So maybe I'll change t-shirts throughout the video, maybe I'll change camera angles, maybe I'll add a little funky animation in the middle of the video, just to try and break up, because you're going to be talking for potentially an hour, or in the Amico's case 4 hours, and you need to constantly keep people's interest. And I always try and change up what's happening on the screen, which takes longer to edit and longer to produce, and resetting up the camera and the lighting rigs, and the making sure the microphone looks sounds good from that angle and that angle. It takes time, but I think the end result is something that stands the test of time a lot more than just sitting in front of a computer, in front of a wall of games, and that's what I go down. I mean, I could go into even more detail, but I was going to say, in a nutshell, that's what I did, but I think I rambled on quite a bit there.
No, I love hearing these kind of in detail explanations. So please don't let the fear of rambling take over. If there's something you want to talk about, go crazy. That's what I tell everyone in my interviews, because it's just fascinating to hear. It's fascinating to hear and kind of pick people's brains on these kind of details.
Yeah. I mean, I hide things in the back of my videos sometimes. I know on my Super Sega one of the things I did was I wanted to change the angle of a video. And as I was scripting, I kept... The crazy thing about that video is you kept falling down weird little rabbit holes. I went, right, now let's look into this thing that he did in the past here. And now let's look into this thing he did in the past here. And I was sort of getting worried while scripting it that I'm not getting to the point. I just keep going off on tangents. So I turned that into a sort of a joke. Excuse me. Yeah, sort of a joke. And I ended up creating an animation of me falling down another rabbit hole. And oh my God, here we go, falling down another rabbit hole. Ah! And then there's an animation of me literally, sort of a cartoon animation of me falling down this rabbit hole. And as I fall down, it cuts back to me on camera. And I literally fall from the... above, from the top of the camera view down onto obviously cushions that you can't see off camera. And I'm like, whoa, anyway, let's get back to it. And it's just little things like that just to try and keep people's interest, because you are, like I say, you're going to be talking for a couple of hours all about one particular very niche topic. You've got to do this sort of stuff to keep people's interest. And in fact, even in that falling animation, there's little hidden secrets in that. Like as I fall down and I go through like the center of the earth, and back through to the other side, you can actually see the devil in the middle, and the devil is the Amico mascot right in the middle of the earth, but like coloured red instead of blue. Just like silly little things like that I find funny, and the few people that pick up on it in the comments normally get loads and loads of, oh my God, yeah, I saw that too, and oh my God, I didn't see that, and they'll go back and they'll send people to different timestamps in the video to see cool little things that I've done, because I just find it. I don't know. Just that little bit extra effort takes a lot longer, but I feel like I say it just makes the video stand the test of time so much more, and I'm so much more proud of a project when I do those sort of things in the end.
Actually, speaking of the Super Sega video you covered, that's definitely in one of my top videos you've done today. That was absolutely bonkers. But yeah, I and many other people ended up seeing just this really hellish situation that kicked off right after that video was uploaded. And I think it's probably better off for you to kind of hand it over to you and let you tell us what the heck happened and how did you get this whole thing sorted?
Let me go back to the beginning, as I say in my videos. Right, so Sega's my baby. That's like my Disney World Sega. I grew up on Sega. I get nostalgic when I hear the music and whatever else. I'm really into Sega. And there was a guy in Spain that wanted to create an FPGA powered field programmable gate array chip powered Sega system, which is going to be this really long Sega system, and it was going to be emulating the hardware as opposed to the software, like the games themselves. And it was going to be this really powerful system that would play everything from the old Master System SG-1000 games, little cartridge slots for all of these, all the way through. So you got Master System, Mega Drive. There's going to be a disc slot for being able to play things like Sega Saturn and the Dreamcast. But anyone that follows this knows that, can he really do this? Because the best people in the world that are working on FPGA-powered Dreamcast emulation can't do this. So some random guy in Spain can all of a sudden. What's going on here? Everything seemed a bit fishy from the let-go. So I was sort of keeping an eye on it. I wasn't really recording too much stuff of what was going on. But then he uploaded one video, and how do I explain what he's like? He's very sporadic, very in your face, and everything's recorded once. If there's errors, he won't bother going back and fixing them. And there was one video he uploaded where he came in on a Lambo, and the guy looks like Ron Jeremy. He doesn't look like he would own a Lambo, but he did. So he came in with this orange Lambo, almost crashed it, got out the car while the handbrake was off as it's sliding forward. It looks like the door smacked into the car next to him. And it's just everything was so weird. I'm like, yeah, there's so many elements of this story. I've got to start covering this. And that was when as I said earlier, just started backing up absolutely everything. I put down a pre-order for the system, which was £400, even though I had a good idea that it probably wasn't going to come out. But the way I saw it was, if it does come out, I can do a review of it. And if it doesn't come out, I can create what happened. I can create a big scandal video. So it was a win-win situation for me. So I put down £400 for this thing. It obviously didn't come out. He said that we had to claimed chargebacks. In his mind, that was his way of giving a refund. Not really. Refunds and chargebacks are two very different things. One, the bank pays on your behalf, and the other one, like he would have to pay in. That's not the option he went down. So anyway, I had to do a chargeback. We were actually chatting via WhatsApp. And he, in his defense, he was making sure that I did get my money back. So I got my money back, and then he, as it went on, I got a chargeback dispute. So someone at the company, or whether it was the website he used, which was Stripe, whatever, had disputed the chargeback. So I went to a news site to talk about this. It was a good way to promote the upcoming video, and obviously there was the news site Time Extension were talking about this quite a lot anyway. So I went there with that. He got very, very upset about this whole situation and sent out a big mass email to his entire mailing list. No idea how many people were on there, but I had a lot, and I'm talking a lot of famous YouTubers get hold of me and like, Dan, have you seen this? He sent out 2 mass emails trying to disprove me, and in those emails, it showed the transaction for my for the Super Sega that I purchased, and in that you could see like my email address, part of my bank details. And it even showed screenshots as well, which showed my personal private phone number. And oh my God, this just went mental. It ended up becoming a new ending to the video. I had to re-edit the video and then get it uploaded. Anyway, time went on. I had to change my phone number, like I said, all that sort of stuff. And he set up a WhatsApp group, a public WhatsApp group for people to get updates on the upcoming system. So I was like, oh, right, once again, I'm going to join this WhatsApp group with a secret phone number. I went down to the shops, got a SIM card, a pay-as-you-go SIM card, and put it into an old phone just so I could join the group and just sit there and collect information once again in case one day I do a future video on this. So I was in there, I was collecting all of this information, and it's all in Spanish, so I can't read any of it anyway. And one day I just decided I'm going to use that Chrome extension, just copy absolutely everything. You can go into the WhatsApp app and you can actually export the entire chat audio, not audio, all the audio clips, obviously all the messages, and then all of the stickers, the GIFs, the videos, the pictures, whatever people have uploaded, and it exports it all into a RAR file. I exported it, uploaded it to Google Drive so that my Spanish translator could look through it and just see if there's anything worth talking about. I mean, there was tens of thousands of messages by this point. Went out for a meal with a couple of friends, and everything just stopped working. I was like, what? What's going on here? Like, I couldn't get into my Google Drive, couldn't get into my YouTube, like anything related to my Google accounts. I'm talking my photos, anything. And I'm like, what has happened here? And at first I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I got home and it was like, would you like to appeal? And I'm like, yeah, I would want to appeal. And the appeal was essentially just like, hey, like, what's happened here? I don't know what's happened. Please don't take my YouTube account away from me. Like, this is my job, you know. And then I started thinking, hang on, what was in that WhatsApp group extracted folder? So I checked it, and I saw some not so great hate speech related imagery. I think it was more edgy teenage meme type stuff, but it was enough. I assume it was that. There was other stuff in there as well that I couldn't see unless I opened up every single image, because it didn't show as a preview. I had to open it up. Like, you know, there were stickers or GIFs or something. But the stuff I saw, that was enough for me to go, whoa, okay, this is what it was. I spent about a week reaching out to as many people as I could find regarding Google or YouTube. Just didn't get a response from anyone. And then all of a sudden, I had to, look, there's nothing else I can do. I had to put a video out begging someone to help me, because I was just locked out of everything, absolutely everything. And one of the saddest things about this, I mean, I have all of my YouTube channel backed up, so I could restart the channel if it came to that. But the Google Photos, everything backed up on my Google phone since, like, I don't know, like nearly 20 years worth of stuff is all on that in my Google Photos. And even though we have a lot of that backed up, like a good majority of that backed up, you're not going to have everything. And, you know, like most people, you have family members that pass away and stuff, and it's just like a really worrying thing, like, you know, pictures of them, you know, maybe like holding like one of my kids, you know, in their first time, you know, all that sort of stuff. Like, oh no, I'm going to be losing all this stuff. And we couldn't get any of it back. Eventually, we were able to get it back, thankfully, but it was a very, very scary situation. That video resulted in several people from Google reaching out to me, And I had several other people reach out to Google on my behalf. And then once it was all finished, then they reached out and said, okay, so behind the scenes, I was working on this. I don't know who it was that fixed it, but I did have several, I wouldn't say not just people, but teams of people working to try and fix it. And once again, it's that community. It's that community thing that helped save the channel. But yeah, for a good, I don't even know how long it was, 8 or 9 days, something like that, maybe 10 days, however long it was a crazy, scary time. Yeah, I wasn't able to sleep because I mean it was more like the disappointment of like letting down the family that I'd lost all of this stuff. Like my wife was stupidly upset that we'd lost all of this, like, you know, these real classic moments. But yeah, thankfully, like I say, we got it back. Yeah, it all turned out all right in the end. It was just a very scary 10 days or so.
And thank goodness that you managed to get everything sorted out, and good on those many fans chucking in their help to get this all sorted. So I suppose, you know, from this point onward, I guess you're probably going to be a lot more cautious and wary about this kind of stuff, you know, trying to archival kind of related things.
Yeah, I mean, I still use all of Google services since I've got it all back. I have bought myself a 2 terabyte hard drive thing to back up all of my Google photos, so that there isn't any. I mean, so I've backed it all up, and then every year I'll back it up again. You know what I mean? Just like top it up. It's. I still use the service. I just got, you know, like if I'm going to be doing something like that again, which is honestly in the 20 plus years or whatever it is of using Google stuff, I've only ever done that once, uploaded all of this exported stuff and put it up so I could share it to someone for them to translate. It was such a weirdly unique thing to have happened. Yeah, obviously I know in the future not to use a service like Google again that's attached to all of my personal stuff. And yeah, I am actually speaking to people at Google that are helping me sort of separate work from private stuff. Because at the end of the day, YouTube is just, it's just sort of come from a hobby in the beginning, you know, me just uploading stuff and it's all connected to my Gmail and stuff like that. So I just need to be able to try and separate those things. I just never have, and I definitely need to.
Now, I wanted to ask about your thoughts on, you know, you've done more than your fair share of kick scammer videos, and a handful of them, of course, you've said, where you've slapped money down, and of course, you know, either just to see like, oh, you know, this is probably not going to work, but let's give it a try, like with the Super Sega, but also other kind of projects that you kind of, you know, you slap down money thinking, yeah, this is going to be good, and then later on you realize, oh, this is pretty bad. You know, kind of like with Tommy Tallarico with the Amico, you know, you did an interview with the fella, but of course then made a video on him, and there's the whole, you know, the John K animation, and then, you know, did your video on him and showcased some pretty gruesome stuff. So what are your kind of thoughts on basically making videos and these sorts of projects where, you know, either you were looking quite optimistically about it or thinking, oh, this is going to be an absolute joke, and then, you know, as you say, like with the Super Sega, fall down the rabbit hole, realize there's so much bad stuff going on here?
I mean, thinking back, I think it's only been the John Kay and Tommy Tallarico thing where I've put money down thinking it was going to be a success, and then it ended up not being that. Other times I've put money down, it's normally only like $1 or £1, €1, whatever it is, just to keep an eye on something, so I get to see like the back of posts and stuff like that, and ones that I think are a bit fishy, but things that I've actually put down that I'm genuinely interested in, that have turned out to be like hardcore scams. I think it's literally only been, or scandals, however you want to put it. I think it's only been the Amico and the like I say, the John Kay thing. But I mean, that and those two were really quite painful for me on a personal level, because John Kay and Tommy Tallarico, I mean, John Kay, I love, and I still do. I think his artwork is incredible, and like his art style and the way he animates is still to this day so not only nostalgic but like, very influential to other people. Like, you know, the guy's a bit of a monster, honestly. But at the end of the day, his art style has still to this day is still getting replicated. I saw a trailer for a new show the other day, and I'm like, this could be done by John Kay. The way it's done, it's so copied by that Ren and Stimpy generation. But at the end of the day, he did release what he said he was going to release. I mean, it really wasn't up to par with what you would expect from him. But he was a bit of a hero of mine when I was growing up. Same with Tommy Tallarico in a sense. I think that was potentially the first name I knew in gaming, him and David Perry. And they obviously worked together on games like Aladdin and Earthworm Jim and a few other games. And being able to finally speak to those people, I was like, oh, wow, this is like, tap my 10-year-old self on the back. You've made it. This is it. Well done. You fully made it. This is so awesome. And then... But the problem is the John Kay one was the most painful. I've got to be honest. I've literally got artwork on the wall of my office done by John Kay, and it's so weird looking at it because, like, I always wanted to meet him or speak with him growing up because I loved Ren and Stimpy so much growing up as a kid. I thought it was so good. But finally, it was like the first time I ever got to have any kind of genuine interaction with John Kay was after I released a video. I mean, it was already out there that he was a paedophile, but I obviously just helped spread the word. You know what I mean? Like, I've got a fairly decent sized channel, and I continued to talk about that in my videos about him. And obviously, I did the Ren and Stimpy history in the games, and then literally a week or two later, I released the Cans Without Labels kick scammer video. So I tried to separate them. And yeah, he watched the video and reached out to me on Instagram, and he wasn't like apologetic with what had happened. It was more, don't worry, I'm going to get the video, because at that point the video hadn't been sent. The video had been uploaded onto YouTube by someone, the final product, but for whatever reason he hadn't sent it out to his backers. Like people like me that put money down for this, and he sent me a message saying, "Oh, don't worry about it. I'll send you the video so you can see it." And I was just replying to him like, "Okay, thank you, but why are you not sending it to the backers? Like, why send it to me? You don't have to silence me. The video's out now." And it was just such a weird sort of situation to be in. Like, this is a guy that I genuinely looked up to so much, and the first time I have an interaction with him is because I've called him out for being a really not a nice person. And I suppose it's kind of the similar thing with with Tommy Tallarico. So weird, so weird. I mean, deservedly called them out, but it's very much, I suppose it's just don't meet your heroes, isn't it? You always hear about that saying, and I think that's what happened there. It was really bizarre.
Now let's get talking about the untold history side of your channel. So could you tell us more about the production of an average Untold History video, the amount of research you put into those, etc.? Again, go crazy with the details.
Okay, I assume you're talking about the complete history of like the complete history of Outrun or the complete history of Streets of Rage. And for people out there that
yes.
Yeah. So for people out there that don't know, what I do is I create one long specific documentary style video on one particular franchise. Sometimes they can be quite small because, there is only one game in the franchise, like for instance Comic Zone for the original Mega Drives or Genesis. And then other ones are, much, much bigger, like Castlevania, that will take a couple of hours to go through every single game in that franchise, trying to find out how they were made, like interviews with the people behind the games, if I can get them. They're definitely more on the UK centric games, things like Dizzy, The Complete History, a fairly big franchise here in the 80s on the home computer scene. I was able to contact the Oliver twins, which was a great again, pat on the back for me, because I grew up with those games, and now as an adult I actually know those guys. I've got them on my phone. I mean, that's awesome. I can speak to them via WhatsApp if I wanted to. Genuinely really nice people, and it's so cool to be able to reach out to those people. So in regard to collecting research for those videos, sometimes it's very easy because there's so much out there, and everywhere you look you can find another interview with about that particular game or whatever it may be, but you end up just falling down different rabbit holes once again. So for instance, the Worms video that I did, that was pretty good because even though there was few interviews that were genuinely out there to do with the main creator, what I was able to find via the Wayback Machine was on the Team 17 website. They had interviews with the creators of all of the I'd say about 75% of the main series of games. And you go back through and then all of a sudden you just got pages and pages of interviews with all of the creators of, Worms Armageddon and Worms World Party and, all of these other Worms games. I'm like, that's absolutely awesome. So I was able to just collect all of that information and I would basically make up in a Google Drive, Google Doc folder, file. Right, here's the Worms Armageddon section. What information can I find out about this? Here's that section. What information can I find out about this? And I just throw it all in there and then just turn that into a script, essentially. There's a few other places I go to for Japanese games. There's a website called Shmuplations, which is really, really good. You can that's a website that translates Japanese interviews from old magazines, and you can get a lot of like Taito and Konami and all these other game companies from back then, or IREM, whoever, and you can look through interviews from those sort of things. On the UK side of things, I like to go through the Internet Archive and look through old magazines of when the game came out or a couple of months before the game came out, and you can actually sometimes find interviews. I remember I found a ToeJam and L interview from the creator for that video. So collecting all of that information together. What other ways have I done it? Retro Gamer magazine is a really good one. You can find a lot of interviews in there. Just to top up little bits of information every time you. And what another thing I'll say as well. Everyone hates the idea of people looking on Wikipedia. I have been saved by Wikipedia quite a few times, in fact. So I'll be writing up this whole thing, and then you go on Wikipedia, and there's like, hang on. What's this line about they're talking here? What is that? And the good thing about it is you can actually check the resource and see where they've got that information from. Not all the time it's correct. It's sometimes come from a website that you look at it and you're like, that's an AI generated bit of information there. That's not right. That's not right. And then you can choose. You can make a decision as to whether you want to include that information. Obviously, if you think it's AI generated, you don't want to be including that. But other times you can find, sometimes you can find a bit of information that you know, through all of your interviews, it just hasn't been brought up. So it's quite, there's so many different places you go to. And that's basically how I make the script. And then from there, you just go and record the whole thing and make the video.
Have there been any games that you've supposed to have like done a write-up on, but then you've decided, you know what, there's just not enough interesting information, or, man, the story's not very fun, screw it. Has there only been any moments where that's happened?
Let me think. Not so much now. When I used to get asked this, I would always say Power Stone. That's one I've always wanted to do, but there's just absolutely there was no information that I could find anywhere. I even reached out to the original creator, and he just basically said he couldn't do the interview. There was a whole process you had to go through with Capcom, and they just weren't. He wasn't able to do it, and I'm like, oh, this sucks. And so many times I tried to start a Power Stone complete history, and all I could find was just a strand of information here or there. But as time gone on, I just continued to collect information until it got to a point where, okay, I'm starting to get to a point now where there is a little bit more information now, and I can make a beefier complete history on this. And I think the thing that won me over there was checking the website Sega Retro. Incredible, sort of like a Wikipedia, but just for the history of Sega. And the cool thing about that is they have sections based on magazines every time the game was mentioned in different magazines, and the majority of them, especially for Japanese games, are in Japan, obviously, Japanese magazines. So I was able to get all these magazines. Okay, so these are all the different magazines I've got that are focused on that particular game, and then I can use Google Translate to try and translate these sections, and then I went to someone else just to double check, make sure the translation was correct. And I found a few little interviews. I found competitions based on the games. I found pictures of the first time it was announced at whatever their version of an E3 is, I'm forgetting right now. And yeah, I was actually able to find a decent amount of information, but that was one that took almost, I want to say 10 years, because the channel's over 10 years old and I haven't long released it, and it's one I've wanted to do since the beginning. So I mean, that's 10 years of me just every year or so, just right, let's see if we can find any more information out, and eventually get into a point where I genuinely do have enough information to make the video.
Do you ever look at your previous videos and feel like you want to revisit any topics or anything? Or do you feel like when you've put a video out, you think to yourself, oh, well, warts and all, I'm still proud of it, it's out there, let's not start, trying to fix what ain't broken?
My mindset's changed on this. I always thought, the video's out, that's it. But I did it once. I redid Streets of Rage: The Complete History, which is one of my all-time favourite franchises. Adore that series. I genuinely love it so much. It was the first game I got on my Mega Drive. It was the first time I remember plugging in my Mega Drive to a sound system. The very first time, one of the first times I ever plugged it in, and just listening to that soundtrack blast through the speakers. I'm like, my God, this is the future. This is so good. But anyway, I'm going off track. Yeah, and I ended up redoing that video because I feel like when I look back on it, this is just before Streets of Rage 4 came out, and I was like, you know what? There's so much more information that I've discovered, and I found like the original game design documents. So I was able to take information from that. Again, I had to translate it and whatever else. And I found out they all had different names in the lead up to the game before they got changed to Blaze and Axel and what have you. So I was like, this is all really good information, and I'm like, it feels really weird that it's not in my original Streets of Rage: The Complete History. So I'm going to do it again, and I did it all again. And actually, I reached out to the people that were working on Streets of Rage 4, and I said, look, anything I can do to help with this, please let me know. This is one of my favourite franchises. I can't believe you guys are working on it. And I remember they actually, one of the main guys over at Guard Crush, who were working on the game, or one of the teams working on the game, said, yep, we're all very aware of who you are. The whole team watched your Streets of Rage Complete History before going in and working on the game. And I'm like, wow, that was like a serious, like, you've made it moment. And with all of this information and things like that happening, I'm like, yeah, I've got to redo this thing. I'll do this again. I reached out to different people that worked on remixes of the games and whatever else, and I never talked about some of the failed projects in the original. So I ended up redoing the whole thing, and I'm like, I am starting to think, what else could I do that to? And I think potentially the next one may be Shinobi. Because I've done Shinobi, and you've got a new one coming out, and I mean, I haven't looked into it too much, like the making of the game since then, but I'm sure there'll be a lot that I've, because I've grown a lot since making those videos that I could put in if I put into a newer video. If the content's there, then I would.
How have you been able to juggle all of these projects that you've done? Not only, of course, the Complete History series, Kick Scammers, you've also done as well, things like streams. You had the Slopes Cast podcast on Spotify up to 2023. Again, is there some kind of secret ingredient to balancing all of these different kind of projects, or is it just like, you crack on and just do what you can, see what happens, and etc.?
Yeah, my best advice with that is to not sleep and completely destroy your own health. That's what I did for the longest time, and that's what I'm trying to fix. It's tough, it really is, and that's why I had to stop the Slopescast podcast, which is a real shame, because I did enjoy doing that, but I had to stop it because it was just getting to a point where, like, I was just at my PC for like endless hours every single day working on this and working on that. And I'm not releasing videos every single week like I was, but I think the production is just so much better now. Like I remember, like, because I had a 9-to-5 job when I started, and I was getting videos out weekly then. I was so hardcore with it. I would go down to, the shops and get my lunch on my 9-to-5 job, and I would sit in the car park, get my windows all done up so people can't hear me, put my microphone in my car, plugged into my laptop in the car, and I'd record the lines on my lunch break, because I was just, any kind of minute of the day that I wasn't working on YouTube, it was unhealthy. I remember I made myself quite sick working on, I can't remember what the two videos were. One of them was Splatterhouse, The Complete History, and whatever video came before that, it might have been Metal Slug. I can't remember exactly. But those were two massive videos, and I did them one after another over the space of 2 weeks, and I ended up becoming sick. I would just go to bed at like 3 or 4 in the morning, get up for work, continue working through my lunch break. It was just like every single day on it. And I'm trying to get that balance now a little bit better. It takes a little bit longer to make a video, but I think they look better, and I think they stand the test of time better. It's just that you just got to work your ass off, basically. It was really, really tough, but it's so hard to find that balance. Whenever people used to ask me at conventions, like, how do you get videos out every week? I would just like shrug my arms. I'm like, I don't know how I do it.
So what would you say have been some of your favourite videos that you've created so far?
I've got to put Amico as number one, surely. I think that has to be number one. Like, that was such a scary video to make because it took 4 months to make that video. And it's just always that worry. Like, I've spent like over a quarter of a year on this video. This is coming from someone that's able to get videos made in a few days, if needed, smaller videos done in a few days for the channel. But my God, what happens when I release this? What happens if it's not popular or whatever else? I mean, that's not a problem, but it was just such a scary time to be able to release that. And I just, maybe I need to cut it into 2 so I can get it done. But I don't want to do that. I want to get this done in one video. And the final product, I'm so proud of that video, like insanely proud of that video. All the different things that I was able to do, the on-camera sections, changing the lighting up at different times and whatever else. So yeah, I was really proud of that one. That's the obvious go-to. But it's some of those complete histories, things like the Gallagher complete history, the Pac-Man complete history, definitely Castlevania, the Streets of Rage one, the second one on that part. I really do feel like they're getting better and better, and I always try and make the next one the best one. There you go. There's a few there for you to pick.
You've also released quite a few of your videos compiled onto DVDs, so why is it that you decided to make these, and could you tell us about some of the exclusive bits of content you've packed on as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I did it they're on Blu-ray. I've got 2 releases. I've got the Sega Complete History Volume 1, and another one which is all based on the history in the games videos. So that one is I've not got it with me. It's got such a ridiculous name. My mind's going blank because it is such a ridiculous name. But yeah, it's looking at franchises that started as like a comic book, a movie, a TV show, whatever it may be, and then all of the video games related to them as well. So there'll be things like South Park, Family Guy, and then you've got things like Evil Dead and Howard the Duck, and all the RoboCop versus Terminator started as a comic, then a movie series, and then there's the video games related to it. So I try and find everything related to them and put them on there. Now, I always try and make sure, and it was actually a company that reached out to me and were like, look, your content is, worthy to be put on to media that's going to stand the test of time. I keep saying that in this, I do apologise. So I was really, really proud and really excited to be able to do that. But I wanted to try and make it something that was truly worth getting, because I have seen other YouTubers just, they're essentially just downloaded videos onto a Blu-ray disc with a basic menu. Like, I really wanted to mess around. You can really, really mess around with these games. There's things like the hidden cheat sheet is actually inside the slipcover. Like when you were younger, you would write your cheats on a bit of paper and put it inside your game. I've actually kind of done that. There is actually a cheat sheet on the inside of the slipcover. So if you have a look inside, you can actually put cheats in on the Blu-ray and make weird videos play in a different way, or you can add. I re-recorded some of the audio for some of the videos, and you can put in the old audio if you can find a way to get them to play that way. I've got commentaries on every single one, including on the Sega one, guest commentary for every single one. So people like Ashins, Kim Justice, a few other people. There's you can get other videos playing if you go to the. I think it's, if you go, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head now. I think if you go to the the settings or the extras menu, and just leave it for like 60 seconds, a password screen actually opens up, and you actually need to put passwords in, and different videos play and different things happen. So really weird things like that. I really wanted to do stuff like that. They're all animated menu screens as well. And I just wanted to make it like, and you put it on the shelf, and it's the same design as a Mega Drive Mega Drive box art. But if you just if you turn the whole thing around the other way, now it's a Sega Genesis box art. So it pleases the American crowd, the NTSC crowd, and the PAL crowd. So I'm really chuffed about that. On the second Blu-ray, the one about all of the TV shows and comics and movies and stuff, that one I actually created a game. Which was so hard to do. I created a sort of a maze game. So it loads up like an old computer, and you actually have to, you push start or options, whatever else, you go in, and then using your remote control, you move forward or turn right, turn left, and you basically have to work your way around the maze. And essentially all it is just lots and lots and lots and lots of, I'm talking, was there like 300 or 400 Blu-ray menus I had to make for this? And you work your way around, and eventually you get to little sections where I call them bosses, 10 sections. And what they'll do is they'll load up a little animation regarding, Robocop versus Terminator. Like I say, there's a Beavis and Butthead section in there, and Aliens and whatever else. You go in there and it'll give you a code. And if you get all of the codes and put them in at the end of the maze, you unlock an extra video, and quite a lengthy video on another franchise. So it's, I really go full pelt with these Blu-rays, way more than I should, because it's not worth it money-wise, but I really wanted to, once again, I'll say it again, release something that stands the test of time and lasts, and it isn't just a collection of videos on a Blu-ray.
Now tell us about your collection that you've got, because you've got a hell of a lot of video games and consoles and all sorts. So please tell us more about that. And have you had any great finds or perhaps any big regrets during your collection days?
I suppose like the biggest regret straight away would be like, before I was a proper collector, selling my entire Mega Drive and Master System collection just so I can get extra controllers for my then newly released Dreamcast. That was a pain. I sold them all at £1 a pop. Some of those games are worth so much now. Like I had Castlevania in there and a few other games in there. Like I think even Booger Man's like a 50 quid game now, maybe, which is ridiculous. I sold that for £1. I know that 50 quid's only 50 quid, but when you're putting in like 60 games or 50, 60 games, whatever it was, slap on the wrist to me. So yeah, that was probably my only regret. I've got to be honest though, my collection isn't as big as it was even a few years ago. I've started to sell my collection now, the majority of my retro collection. I mean, I've still got a pretty massive collection compared to people that, I don't know, don't collect. But compared to some of those people out there, some of those YouTubers out there that go, game hunting and go to all of the game markets and stuff. I mean, these guys will have tens of thousands of crazy, crazy amounts. I am nowhere near that. With that said, I mean, I'm looking to the right of me and I've got a Japanese Mega Drive collection that's about 50 big. It was a couple of hundred big, like I say, a few months ago. My Switch collection's probably my biggest collection now. There's over 200 games there, and a good portion of those are like those ridiculously massive collector's box sets that are pumped out by companies like Limited Run and Strictly Limited and a few other ones. So I've got a beautiful collection there. I mean, there's maybe about 50, 60, maybe 70 Wii U games and Wii games, and I've got maybe 30, 40 PlayStation 2 games. So I mean, I don't have any Dreamcast games really anymore, besides a couple of homebrews that people have bought me and stuff. And like sometimes a fan will give me something, and I'm like, I'll never sell that. Little things like that. My DS collection's quite small now, and the reason why is because it got to a point where, like we were saving to go on these enormous holidays, and they take so much time to take the whole family to Florida or to Dubai, which we went to earlier this year. And you're looking and you're like, this is going to cost like several £1,000s to do this holiday. And I look to the right of me and I see a Mega Drive game that, I've got to be honest, I've probably put in a Mega Drive once. And I'm like, that game's worth 300 or 400 quid. And it's just like, do I keep hold of these and then give them to the family when I'm gone and then let them sell it? or do I sell it now and make these memories with the family? And that's the mindset I'm in right now. So I still have a massive collection, but for me, the most important thing is being able to play those games, which I do. I've got a Mega SG with a Mega SD inside it. That's one of those FPGA powered Mega Drive consoles, so I'm able to play them perfectly, like completely perfectly. And it got to a point where I was loading up the ROM via the Mega SD FPGA powered cartridge, instead of pulling them off the wall. And I'm just like, what's the point of this? Why have I got them on the wall and I'm not even taking them off the wall to play? So yeah, bit by bit, I'm slowly selling them to make more memories of the family. That's where I'm at with it.
A noble goal, of course, but I do want to ask an important question. You know, in regards to not only the collection of yours that, as you've said, you know, you've been willing to make sacrifices for the sake of the family, but generally speaking, how important is physical media to you when it comes to games, magazines, etc.?
Yeah, and you're not... This generation, man, it's more important than ever. It really is. Bit by bit, every generation, we're just getting closer and closer, nudging us closer and closer towards a no physical future. You got that Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 remake that's just come out. Or remaster, whatever it is. And I'm like, that'll be a great game to get on my Switch 2. Just lay down, play it on the Switch 2, and I look at that case. That's the pre-order thing for it on the when I went to Smith's recently, and it was like game key card only, and I'm like, oh man, I don't want that. I want the physical game. And a lot of the time, you know, a quality looking indie game will come out. Streets of Rage 4 as an example. I suppose that's really top end indie stuff, but yeah, Streets of Rage 4, or that new Shinobi game, and whatever else. Valfaris is another game I constantly bring up. I don't buy them because I want to have them physically. I really want them physically, and yeah, that's for me, it's super important. It's crazy important, and it's just very, very sad that we're moving to a point in time where everything's now going digital. I think it's like we've got to accept it, but it still doesn't make it any easier, you know.
Now, getting back on topic with your YouTube channel, your videos, etc., do you have any plans for any big projects in the future, or are you just going to keep at it with pushing out the usual top quality content?
Oh, wow. You're so nice. Thank you. I don't know. I mean, I've always got several big ideas. I mean, I've been working on one forever and I just keep stopping it, and I really need to start it again. I want to do a big history on the Sega World in London video, and I've actually collected so many interviews with that already and spoken to people about that already. I mean, I've collected 4 interviews of that, and then several like on camera interviews, I mean, and then like 4 or 5 like interviews via email. So that's one I'd like to really crack on with at some point. There is a fairly big kick scammer I'm keeping an eye on at the moment. I tend to like to make my videos when there's an ending, and there's something going on right now in Italy that's quite scammy and quite scandalous, and I'm looking into that, and there's more and more information's coming out, but I've got to be careful on how I approach it and what's going on with that. I know I'm being vague there, but you know, there's something there. Otherwise, at the moment, it's I want to do a few, I say smaller videos. I mean, it's still going to be 30-40 minute long videos for the most part, but yeah, smaller ones just to keep the ball rolling for a bit. Because I've done some big projects recently before I start tackling my next really big video.
Would you say you have any kind of dream collaboration ideas, or perhaps anyone out there that you would love to work on for any sort of project?
Oh man, I don't know. I think it's the obvious answer, isn't it? Everyone says is Angry Video Game Nerd. I'd love to work with him one day. That'd be fantastic. I think I'll get the chance, hopefully one day. And I say Angry Video Game Nerd is because practically everyone else I have done. All the people I looked up to, you know, in those early days, you know, before, I mean, I still do look up to them, but I mean, the people that inspired me in the and to create a channel in the first place. Your Lazy Game Review, Larry Bundy, Ashins, Kim Justice is someone I discovered after. As soon as I started becoming a YouTuber, and I was and still to this day, one of the best YouTubers out there, in my opinion. These are people that I get to collaborate with fairly frequently, some more than others, and I have worked with in the past. You go and look at something like the Amico video and just see the amount of people that collaborated on that video. I mean, was there like 20 collaborators on that video, maybe? Practically everyone I've had the privilege of at least speaking with and talking with, and in some cases collaborating with. And I think the only one that's not been ticked off the list is Angry Video Game Nerd. Because even though we make different styles of content, like everyone, I've enjoyed watching his content over the years, and he definitely was an inspiration in the early days. Specifically, the Sword Quest video was an enormous inspiration to the channel. So I'd like to work with those as well.
And hey, I know one person that you could end up working with in case you ever need perhaps someone to narrate some funny bits from a kickscammer comments from angry backers, etc. What's his name? Is a chappie called Jake the something the voice? Oh, what was his name? I'll figure it out eventually.
I'm well up for that. Let's do it.
Sounds good. Yeet. Anyway. Right, so we are coming to the end of this interview, but there is a rather important question I love to ask people right before we round things off. And that is, when you're not making videos, when you're not creating documentaries of video games and covering fundraiser scams, etc., how do you like to relax?
I'm really into movies. and I'm really into theme parks. Big time. They're two things I love to spend my time researching and going to. I watch quite a few movies if I can, and I'm definitely the one in the family that annoys everyone. Hey, let's watch a movie. When everyone else just wants to chill out and watch, a TV show or whatever. Yeah, I watch a lot of films. I'm really into those, and if I'm ever going on holiday, I want to try and link in at least one theme park. Big time. We just got back from Dubai. Well, not just. A few months ago, we got back from Dubai. We went over to Warner Brother World, which was awesome. IMG, which was really, really weird. It was the quietest theme park I've ever been in. It felt like it was open just for us. That was really bizarre. But that was cool. Obviously, we've done Florida circuit. We've done Disneyland Paris like 15, 20 times. Not really a fan of the UK theme parks at the moment. We'll see what happens when Universal turns up. I'm sure that's going to change things up quite considerably. Yeah, obviously, I love going to theme parks and as well. Just spending time with the family doing these sort of things is always my number one priority.
Well, Dan, let me just say, it's been an absolute blast chatting with you. Thank you so much for coming on board.
Yeah, cheers, man. I appreciate it. It's always good getting on these things, and I really appreciate it. I love your voice. Absolutely love your voice. It's definitely going to be in a future video.
Oh, you flirt. Anyway, so is there anything that you'd like to say to your many, many fans out there before we properly wrap things up?
No, just go and find me. Go and watch some content. It's evergreen as anything. So videos I released several years ago are still quite relevant, I would say. Looking into classic franchises and things. So hopefully you find something you like. Hopefully you're like, oh, I remember this game. Because that's what it's all about. As I say in my About Me section, your nostalgia is safe with me.
And I'd personally like to thank all of the many, many fans out there listening into this interview right here on The Cyberden. Please consider checking out the Witham Radio fundraiser, and if you can, folks, please just toss a bit of cash that way, or just share the fundraiser around. Help The Cyberden and the many, many people on the Witham Radio team get back on the radio, on the airwaves, and chit-chatting about all sorts, especially video games. Anyway, Dan, thanks for coming, and I certainly can't wait to watch more of your content.
Love it. Thanks so much, mate. Hey there, guys. This is DJ Slope from Slope's Game Room speaking. Keep listening to Jake the Voice on the Cyberden.